is a very bad baseball team this year, and it's not the White Sox actually. For a change, I mean the White Sox aren't great either,
Good for you,
but
eh?
no, I mean, and I
Congratulations,
actually
you're not the worst. Congratulations, you're not the worst team in baseball.
and
He's
people
not
are
the
like,
Marlins either, so we're doing good.
The Braves
although
are
the
bad,
Marlins
but it's
do.
not them either.
It's not the Marlins. It's not the White Sox. It's none of our favorite teams. It is the Colorado Rockies. And people are saying, well, Evan, since you guys were 41 and 121 last year, don't you? That Colorado might take that away from you and be even worse. Don't you feel happy? Don't you feel that? No, that's terrible. Those fans gotta that's awful. I mean, I'm glad people aren't zoning on the White Sox, but I don't mind the Rockies. But yeah, anyways, and in case you haven't been following MLB, the Colorado Rockies, I think they're 12 and 51 right now. I could be off
Oh,
by a game or so.
something like that. Something like that.
Some Something like that. And for reference, I was looking at where the White Sox last year were at this time. Again, one of the worst teams in modern history, and they were 16 and 48. So they were at least 3 or 4 games better than the Rockies are right now. So this is legit. This is not just overreacting. This is not early season. Like the Rockies are that bad. And there's a lot of factors. I mean, you got Kyle Freeland, their longtime pitcher, like crying after a game saying, please don't give up on me, guys. He's had a rough season. They fired Bud Black, who's been their manager forever. And it's just a disaster. And I have more thoughts, but I'll throw it around first.
Okay, well, here's the thing on the Colorado Rockies, right? So, I mean, the Colorado Rockies obviously have a good lineup. No one in the lineup is batting under 200. They obviously have a good lineup, but their pitching has just not shown up this year at all. You talk about Kyle Freeland, he's having one of the worst seasons of his career. German Marquez, he's having one of the worst seasons of his career. I mean, Colorado Rockies as a co team collectively, they have an ERA of 5.43. That's not going to win you many ball games. Yeah, sure, there are some nights that the offense doesn't show up and then the pitching does. But like you have to score runs to win a ball game, and then there are some nights that the offense shows up. They go out on an offensive bus, they score like 6 or 7 runs, and then the pitching gives up like 10 or 12, 10 or 11. Like that's not a win you either. So there's a reason why the Colorado Rockies are 12 and 51, and it's not necessarily the offense.
So, real quick, I just want to start by, referencing the point Evan made about the fans, that they have to sit through this. It's embarrassing watching your team, sit through this, right? Especially if you've been a fan for as long as the Rockies have existed. Um,
Yeah,
and I
but
know,
they
like,
choose to go to these ball games. They choose to go to the games every night. And like I
I'm not.
understand it, you're gonna support your team no matter what. But like when you're on a losing streak like this, sometimes you just gotta say, "Hey, I'm just gonna watch the game at home. I'm not gonna go out to the ballpark tonight."
That's what I'm referring to. The people that the people that have not given up, and because I would think that if you've been a longtime fan, you're just like, oh well, this team just disgusts me or whatever. I'm not going to watch any more ball games. But those people that do watch on TV, like they have to they sit through it and they watch how bad this team is.
Yeah, I wanted to
Yeah, but
touch.
like I just
Wait,
said,
Jake, just
like
really quick. I want to touch on something because something you actually brought up, Jake. Because you got first of
okay,
all, the fans just feel terrible for them, right? That I mean, you have to, right? And to the ones who keep going back to the games, Coors Field is really nice, so I get that. But
oh
it's
yeah.
just awful. But the one thing I think that's Jake said is that he said the lineup's not that bad, right? And you got guys like Chris Bryant. You got Ryan McMahon, who's having a pretty bad year, but like you've got guys who have been around for a while. And I think the thing is you looked at the White Sox last year and it's like, well, that obviously that's going to be a terrible team, right? Well, you look at the Rockies, we didn't think they're going to compete for World Series or anything, but you looked at them and they're like, okay, they're not that great, but they're respectable. They got X, Y, and Z, like big name players that we've heard for a little bit. Why are they going to be like the worst team ever? We're at least on track. We'll see. Maybe they get hot or whatever. I personally don't see it. And I think it has, and I know I've talked with Jake and Jordan about this before. I think it has to do with just baseball as a whole right now. I think it has to do with And it's a very new problem. But when you have the Dodgers able to sign, Yamamoto, you've got the Dodgers able to sign Otani for like $1 billion combined in one offseason. It's like, and I'm not excusing the Rockies or the White Sox for bad ownership, but you have to look around and be like, how do you compete with that? How do you compete with that? And then, so I wouldn't be surprised. Like, people may see this as a coincidence that the White Sox won 41 games in one year, and then Colorado maybe winning worse than that the next year. But I think we may have to look at this. Might not be a coincidence. This might be a result of no salary cap.
I
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
agree.
I think what were you saying, Jordan?
I definitely agree with that. You have teams that, look at, like you said, the Dodgers, Otani and Yamamoto, $1 billion combined in the offseason. They look at that and they think, well, they just got two of the best players in baseball, so why the heck even try?
Yeah, I mean, you can't compete with that. When the Dodgers have a salary cap of $1 billion, and then you look at the Rockies, they can only spend, let's say 250 million because the Dodgers have most of that money. It's not fair. That's why the MLB needs a salary cap.
They
Right.
really,
I don't think it has to be super strict. I think the NFL does it perfect. I think the NFL, you still see some powerhouse teams that like to spend a lot and some teams that don't, but you at least have like just a level playing field because that's what, sports are supposed to be. What are sports for? I mean, obviously it's for money and like, that's how it stays alive, right? But it's also for fun. It's for entertainment. So like, what's fun about saying, "Hey, Rockies fans, yeah, you guys will never be good." Like, what's fun about that, right? Because you can't spend enough. So, like, again, ownership, all that, we can get to all that. Like, I'm sure they have a bad, Monfort or whatever, who owns Colorado is not great, but this needs to be addressed first, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have those teams, whether it be in the NFL, NSL, NBA, or even the MLB. You're always going to have those teams that outspend other teams. You're always going to have those teams who try harder, who owners want to make that team better. But then you're going to have some guys who, want to save the money. I don't know what for exactly, maybe a big free agent or something at the end of the year. But like, you got to spend the money now. I mean, you gotta try to win now. You're not trying to win next year or something, but you gotta spend the money.